All right, everybody, welcome back into another edition of On Texas Football. We got a loaded show for you here. It's Tuesday, February 27th. Jerry's on the road, as you see. But man, what a week we got loaded up. Jerry, where have you been? Where have you been?
Yeah, I'm in DFW, your old stomping grounds, right?
That's
I
right.
started the day at North Crowley on Monday, went to their athletic period, loaded squad, which we'll get into. Then I went to Cedar Hill for their afternoon athletic period workout, which they were maxing out on the squat. I had another stop, which we won't mention. Then I ended the day at Dallas Skyline. So on the road, hit 4 schools, 3 of which we'll talk about. One we'll keep in our back pocket for another time. Yeah, it was a great day on the road, and it was so interesting. North Crowley is the up and coming program in DFW. There's no doubt about it. CJ, they made that run. They weren't ready for Duncanville last year. Nobody was, though.
Who is? Who is?
Yeah, the state championship game, other than DeSoto and district, right? But John Turntine, he's as impressive of a guy as you'll see in this business to me. 6'5", 305, a sophomore offensive tackle at North Crowley. His father, John Turntine II, he's John Turntine III. John Turntine II was a 2-time all-conference defensive lineman for Gary Patterson at TCU. His son is a future 5-star prospect. Threw a shot at personal record 48-11 last weekend, so he's going to get over 50 feet as a sophomore. Skinny ankles, just bends so well, moves so well. Wants to be a neurosurgeon, top 10 in his class. I mean, so you're talking about a guy who's got it all. And I think Texas is very much in the picture. They're going to remain in the picture. We'll have more on that on Texas Football on Wednesday, but they'll remain in the picture because the academic football combination. I don't think he'll end up at TCU, but we'll see. He was at the January 20 Junior Day, one of the first sophomores invited to that. He went to a game this season when Texas offered him. They wanted Flood and Sark to offer him in person. That's how much they think of him as a prospect. So he'll be back in Austin probably in April. If not, definitely in June. That June 3rd elite camp will be a lot of those top guys will be there. He'll be one of those guys. But now North Crowley's got a lot of guys, CJ. I mean, they got a corner that just moved in from Georgia. He went to Terrell High School as a freshman, is good friends with Keandre Johnson there. Grew up with Keandre Johnson, the 25 tight end edge player. But then he moved to South Georgia. I think it was at South Paulding High School for a couple of years. Georgia actually offered him last summer. So, I mean, that's the type of move in North Crowley just got. He moved back to the DFW. Instead of going Terrell east, they went west, and they're in south of Fort Worth there in North Crowley. But he's a guy that I think Texas A&M, they're all going to come evaluate this spring. He's a tremendous corner. So there's a lot of prospects, a lot of young kids at North Crowley. Cedar Hill, I mean, people have seen the tweets. That was a fun stop. CJ, I mean, you're younger in this business, and you'll all these stories that Bobby and I have, you'll have one day. But I've 20 plus years in. It's the first time I've ever met triplets who are all legitimate Division I players. So there's
in the trenches too. That's crazy.
Yes. That's crazy.
Amazing.
I mean, so Jordan Coleman is 6'5", 362. He squatted 600 yesterday. And that would have been a competition powerlifting squat, 600. That was their max out. Texas offered him in June 11th of 2023. His older brother by a few minutes, Devin Coleman, 6'5", 320. Texas offered February 19th. He only squatted 550 yesterday around there. But his recruitment's taken off since he moved to offensive line from D-line. Then the oldest brother is the littlest brother, Isaiah Coleman, and he said with his triplets, the first one born is always the smallest. He's only 6'2", 6'1.5", 6'2", 270. But then Cedar Hill had some men. Yeah. I mean, Cedar Hill had some men. There's a picture on ontexasfootball.com. There's a freshman that played running back, actually scored a touchdown in the playoff game. He's 6'3", 273. Now, he's going to be a D lineman. He's going to be an end this year, and he'll be a D tackle, 300-pounder long-term. They have a 6'4", 250-pound, going to be junior D end, Sir Nathaniel Young, who has a Cal offer, a couple other G5s. But there's so many large humans on I-20 along that. It's crazy, CJ. Then I made another stop we won't talk about. We're going to keep that one in the back pocket for another time. But then I went to Skyline to see Elijah Barnes. Elijah Barnes, 6'2.5", 6'3", 225-pound linebacker, one of the top linebackers in the country. Steve Sarkisian and Banks were by in January. He was at January 20th Junior Day. I believe you interviewed him after the Junior Day. I think Texas is in a really good spot for him. I watched him at a track practice yesterday, hung out with the staff. Two of the guys members of that staff are Peter Jenkins and Christian Scott, former Texas players from Skyline. Jenkins is the linebacker coach, Christian Scott, secondary coach. I spent the majority of my time with Jacoby Coleman, the head coach, who played at Beaumont Westbrook and then played linebacker at Iowa. He picked Iowa over Florida coming out of high school, so he was a big-time guy himself. But it was just great to hang around, get his thoughts on Elijah Barnes. And Elijah has goals. He wants to run an 11-1 this spring. I don't know if he'll get there, but he's, like I said, he's 6'2.5", 6'3", 225, 230 pounds.
He's a big boy.
If he puts 11-3 on the board, that's a really good time, fully automatic time. But I think Texas is in a good spot there. Crazy thing, CJ, was I was there, track practice ended about 5:50. Elijah and I went in and talked, and he was like, oh, we got to finish up soon. I said, okay, sorry, man. Didn't mean to keep you. He said, no, I have a call with Sarkisian at 6:15. So say if Texas fans are wondering if Sark's working the phones, Sark's working the phones.
There you go. Yeah, there's 3 new offers we got to get to. I'm on the road today as well. Jerry, you'll also be hitting the DFW area as well. But before we get to that, do you mind telling the good folks on Texas football about our friend Mark Saunders?
Yeah, Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders. He's the sole sponsor of the Recruiting Breakdown. We thank him very much for that. When it comes to protecting all your stuff, wouldn't it be great to have one place that protects it all? Here's some great news. Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders is the only insurance agent you'll need to help keep tabs on protection for all your stuff. And I mean all your stuff. Everything from your home, your car, and boat to your motorcycle, RV, and even the ATV. Call Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders' office today. 512-218-8571. Are you in good hands? You'll be in great hands with Mark Saunders with over 35 years of experience. That is what you'll get with Texas alum Mark Saunders. Give him a call today, 512-218-8571.
Now back to those new offers, because Texas is going national with these 3 offers. They're all over the country, really, when you look at them. One from California, 2 from Georgia, or 1 from Georgia, the other from Alabama. They're really hitting all the spots that we've known they've wanted to continue having a foothold in. The first is Adonis Curry, a 6'3" cornerback, plays wide receiver as well. Terry Joseph offered him late last night. I think that offer was actually posted around 10:15 p.m.
That was a Sark after dark offer.
Hey, we haven't seen it in a while, but There we go. We're hopefully getting back to our roots this summer with some Sark after dark action. Adonis Curry, 6'3" cornerback, offered by Terry Joseph out of California. Obviously, Texas has tons of ties there. But moving down to the south, where we know Texas wants to be more active, specifically on the defensive line, Isaiah Gibson out of Warner Robins, Georgia. That's right in the heart of where Texas is trying to get more active with Kenny Baker, and it looks like they're going after the edge a little bit hard right there. Isaiah Gibson, what do you know about him, Jerry?
Yeah, well, Isaiah Gibson, he has all the offers, right? He's going to be a top 50 kid in the country. Some people are starting to rank him that way. He is one of the top edge prospects in America. I mean, he has got long arms. He has got a quick first step with that frame. He's going to be a 275, 280-pound guy with pass rush, but he's got power to speed combo, just what you're looking for out of a young defensive lineman. It sells a lot of upside about him. Look, a military family. If you look through his Twitter, you can see some pictures. Well, when college coaches came through and they met with him and his mom was in uniform, which there are bases down in that area. So probably a good reason why he lives in that Warner Robins area. Be interested to see if Texas gets him on campus. I mean, when I say he's got all the offers, he's got all the offers now. Adonis Curry's interesting to me, CJ. He's from Lancaster, California. He goes to Quartz Hill High School, and with the name of that school better look really good from the outside looking in. Okay, so what's interesting about him is he ran 10.67 fully automatic timed 100 last year. That's moving at 6'2", 165, 170, which he was. His video, he picks off a pass the first play of his junior highlights, and he leaves the screen. That's, like Bobby Burton said, that's a pretty good sign. The other interesting thing with him is His sister signed with Arizona State last year. She's a sprinter, so she's a freshman member of that Arizona State Sun Devils track team. So again, we'll see if Texas gets these guys on campus. The third offer, CJ, I know you got a little info on. Let's set that one up. Malik Autry from Opelika. Has anybody good ever come out of Opelika? Go to the wiki page. You'll find about 20 people, okay?
Yeah, how many pages is it?
Yeah, exactly. They're about to add another name in a few years. But Malik Autry, one of the best D linemen in the country. Georgia and Alabama absolutely loaded at 2025 on the defensive line. Loaded. And Malik Autry's an Auburn commitment. I'll let you get into this. Auburn's defensive line class right now, they went all in early on these guys. Antonio Coleman, a guy Texas fans know from Saraland, teammate of KJ Lacey, flipped from Alabama to Auburn when Nick was still the head coach. That's how all in Auburn's been on the D-line. But Malik Autry is going to be the highest rated of that group. And what can you tell Texas fans?
Well, he wants to visit. And he doesn't quite have a date locked in just yet, but he wants to get down to Texas for spring practice sometime in March or April. Again, Texas is making a stronger, impression right now in that area. They're making it one of their biggest points of emphasis this offseason, and they're attracting guys nationally because of the run that they had last year in the college football playoff. That's something that I've been able to pick up a little bit. But again, a big body up in the front. You don't see those 6'5" and a half, 6'6" bodies that can move like he does. I know we posted his highlights on Texas Football last night, and the comments were basically one after another of when does this guy ever get blocked? Because he just has it. He has a combination.
The only time he gets blocks if he runs into a brick wall.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see if Kenny Baker's able to get him to campus. Before we go to the official visitors, Jerry, I was on the road at Bastrop.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So Bastrop, I'll set that up for you. Bastrop, for Texas fans, a couple of young guys, 2026, 2027. 2026 has a Texas offer. 2027 obviously has Texas's attention.
Yeah. The Bastrop actually has a lot of talent right now out on that little East Austin area. Yep. That's looking like the school that's about to start popping off some big D1 talent. They currently have Ramon Adams, a Texas Tech commit at cornerback right now. He's a good looking prospect, but he's firmly locked into the Red Raiders.
So he transferred from Smithville then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But the big name I wanted to stop by and see was Tiki Hola, the 2026 defensive lineman who stopped by campus on January 20th for the junior day. Didn't get to meet Kenny Baker there, has yet to really get in contact with him, obviously, focus on the 25s, getting up to speed there right now. But did get to talk with Steve Sarkisian, loved what he saw there, and Johnny Nansen, who we know has the California ties, but more specifically in this recruitment, the Polynesian ties. That's going to be big for Tiki Hola. They hit it off. They liked what they saw. Texas is going to be a player right there. Auburn just offered as well, and A&M's kind of been lingering around in the backside. But he wants to get back down to Austin for a spring game coming up this upcoming months or so. But the name I really wanted to focus on, aside from Tiki Hola, was Weston Nielsen, a 2027 6'3" quarterback that started the last 8 games of the year for Bastrop as a true freshman. Listen, Oregon's already offered, and about 5 or 6 others. I mean, it's a long list of guys that have already jumped in the boat. Arizona State, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Nebraska, Baylor. The list goes on for Weston Nielsen. Sarkisian stopped by early January. About 2 weeks later, Coach A.J. Milby stopped by to watch him throw as well. So Texas is in on him. They're going to recruit him, and obviously it helps that he's right in your backyard. And we know Texas is kind of peculiar with how they recruit their quarterbacks. Obviously, it doesn't look like we'll see any 27 action at the moment, but Weston Nielsen out of Bastrop, right around the corner, is one that Texas has their eyes on right now in that class.
Hey, CJ, let's talk about the significance of Oregon offering. So Will Stein, obviously the offensive coordinator, played at Lake Travis, went to University of Texas, was on Jeff Traylor's staff. But for Will Stein to offer that early, that means he's talking to his high school coaching connections down there, and they're all telling him, can't miss guy, you got to get on him. I mean, that's essentially what we're talking about here. The level prospect you saw today is that a guy for Will Stein, that means he's getting a lot of people in his ears that are his friends, probably family and guys he coached with. And they're saying, you need to offer this guy. That's significant.
He struck gold earlier about a cycle ago with Austin Novosad, a late
Yep.
flip from Baylor as well. So they know when there's good quarterbacks in this area, they'll be on them early. Again, Oregon was the first offer for Weston Nielsen, and they offered back in October. So it took a while for the rest of the country to kind of get up to speed there. He picked up 9 from the second week of January on to now. So cat's out of the bag, the secret's out. People are realizing what kind of talent's in Bastrop, and that program is going to be fun to get back to. But when it comes to visitors, again, right now we're compiling lists for every weekend in March and April, but more importantly, official visitors. Jerry, we got 2 more that are locked in for Texas, both of them on the offensive line. What can you tell folks about that?
Yeah, not surprising. Kyle Flood lines up his guys early. We've seen that in the 23 class. 22 is a different class, but 23 class, and then 24 class, and now 25. So there's a number of guys that have already set up their official visits. Some haven't put it out publicly, some have. Sunday on Texas Football broke the news that Jonte Newman out of Bridgeland in the Cypress area, he plays for Lonnie Madison, former Texas A&M defensive lineman. Jonte Newman will visit Texas June 14th through 16th. That's significant because Ryan Foji, his teammate, committed to Oklahoma. So Texas liked both those guys. They really like Newman's arm length at the tackle position in that frame, which he's 6'5", 280 right now. He's also going to visit Alabama, Oklahoma, Oregon. I mean, A&M. He has all the suitors, right? But Texas has him lined up early for an official visit. And then Jackson Christian. It's going to be an A&M Texas battle here. We'll see who really makes the big push for him. There's so many good linemen in Texas. But Jackson Christian out of Port Neches Groves, the state champion Indians there in 5A. He's going to officially visit Texas June 21st through 23rd. He's at Texas A&M for their big weekend, the 14th through 16th, which is telling because Tyler Thomas from Dickinson, a Texas targets at A&M that weekend. Tyler Thomas expected to visit Texas the last weekend in June. Then you have Michael Fasusi, who's coming into Austin April 9th for an unofficial. We believe his official visit will be late in June as well. He just hasn't released that date. But then John Mills, which we on Texas Football broke that a while back, the offensive guard out of San Francisco State Ignatius, a guy that Texas has liked for a long time. He officially visits June 14th through 16th. So you see those. And yesterday at Cedar Hill, Jordan and Devin Coleman told me they're talking with Texas about some official visit dates. So we're starting to see these offensive line guys who the priority targets are when they set up these official visits.
And one big one that we've yet to talk about since it broke on Friday or Saturday morning, Jamie French, the 5-star wide receiver, is coming in April 6th. He confirmed that with me a few days ago. But that's a big one. Texas is looking to get those big-time playmakers on campus, and he certainly fits the bill of a top 2, top 3 wide receiver in the entire country. How big is that for Texas to get these big playmakers on campus, which we're looking at April 6th is very offensive loaded right now?
Yeah. So look, the wide receiver room looking around in there will be Jamie French, Kelshawn Johnson, Kalik Lockett. And I was told up here in DFW yesterday, maybe DeCorian Moore. We'll see. I mean, will it be a shock if DeCorian Moore shows up in campus in April? It will not. I'm not saying it's locked in, but we'll see maybe. So, I mean, you could add another name to that possibly. We'll see. But Jamie French out of Jacksonville Mandarin, one of the top receivers in the country. Texas offered in late January. The fact that he's coming in, again, Texas moving to the SEC, making the playoff, national brand, about to have 2 guys drafted in the first 2 rounds. So, I mean, that's kind of where this Texas program's at. KJ Lacey's going to be looking around at some really talented receivers April 6th. That's also going to be a weekend that Tyler Thomas, John Mills, some of the offensive line targets come in as well April 6th. So that big offensive weekend for the Longhorns.
Yeah, Texas has done a tremendous job of loading up positionally and side of the ball wise when it comes to these visits coming up in March and April. But man, until then, we'll keep you all updated on Texas Football with visit updates. Jerry and I are both on the road moving forward this week as well. Plus, the NFL Combine starts Thursday, goes through Saturday as well. So a lot of updates on Texas Football. We'll be sure to keep you updated. And Jerry, make sure you're hitting the road safely and getting out and keeping us updated. But for now, thank you for checking into another episode of On Texas Football, the recruiting breakdown. We'll see you all next weekend, and be sure to hit us up on ontexasfootball.com. Welcome.